Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. Let me tell you about the musical we're seeing today. So today's musical is The Girl from North Country, which I don't know anything about. I have not listened to the music. I've only actually heard of this show from one of my friends who lives in another state and has season tickets to their Broadway season. Let me just tell you, I will say I'm not excited about this one in any sense. First of all, this musical is based off the music of Bob Dylan, and I did not grow up listening to Bob Dylan. I probably know some of the songs, but that's not what we listened to growing up. And then knowing that it's based off of someone's music, well, we've seen shows based on people's musics, The Temptations, the Tina Turner musical, and those were not our favorite. Granted, those musicals told of the life and time of the artists, and I think this one has an actual story. It's just being told through Bob Dylan music. I've already looked at the seating chart for today's show to anticipate, how crowded it's going to be. And I think it's going to be about as crowded as Company was, which, if you remember that, was very empty. We have empty seats so far on both sides of us, and a few rows behind us are completely empty. So it doesn't even seem like the Tampa Bay area wants to see this show. But nonetheless, we paid for the tickets, so we are gonna go and let's see what the first half's about. Let me put my mascara on and then I will read you the synopsis. Alright, this is the synopsis from the Straz Center's website. Girl from the North Country is the Tony Award-winning new musical the Chicago Tribune declares a Broadway revelation. Written and directed by celebrated playwright Connor McPherson, and featuring Tony Award orchestrations by Simon Hale. Girl from the North Country reimagines 20 legendary songs of Bob Dylan as they've never been heard before, including Forever Young, All Along the Watchtower, Hurricane, Slow Train Comin', and Like a Rollin' Stone. It's 1934 in Duluth, Minnesota. We meet a group of wayward travelers whose lives intersect in a guest house filled with music, life, and hope. Experience this profoundly beautiful production, brought to a vivid life by an extraordinary company of actors and musicians. By name, I don't know if I know any of those songs, but when they are played, I might. So, in other news, this series will be coming to an end. The Straz Center just put out their next Broadway season shows, and of all the shows, there's like one or two we would want to go see, and that's just not worth the price. Unlike this season where there were one or two shows we didn't want to see, including this one. So we will not be extending our season tickets, unfortunately, but we may try to squeeze in a musical review every now and then. Let me do something with my hair, and I'll see you either at McAllister's or at the Straz Center. This is the lobby about 30 minutes before the show started. This is the emptiest I've ever seen it. Specialty drink was essentially a rum and coke, so we decided to get one to help us through the show.
Here we go. Ready?
It was a little strong for Mom's taste.
And I mixed it.
Despite the look of disgust on my face, it wasn't half bad. Just didn't enjoy the lime seed I almost swallowed.
Oh, sorry.
Got some lime. And here's the theater about 5 minutes before the show. You can just see all the empty seats. Alright, so it has been some time, but we are here to give our review on The Girl from North Country. We're going to do it a little differently this time though, and you'll kind of probably get a feeling of why. So, Mom's going to start.
That would be me with the short hair.
With the look and sound, and then I will give the review for our music to dialogue ratio and the overall execution. So with that.
Okay, we'll start with the look. So it was a period piece from the 1930s, and so I would say that, like, costume-wise, they were dressed appropriately for the 1930s, and the location was appropriate, like the setting was appropriate for that as well. But sometimes it was difficult to figure out where you were, like, because they wanted to change the location, but they didn't really change a whole lot of the set. I mean, they pretty much kept the set the way it was, and tried to work around it, and that didn't necessarily work. So it seemed to be a little disjointed. And so the set was okay. And that's it. I mean, There was nothing special or about it at all. So sound, so now it was all Bob Dylan music. I don't care for Bob Dylan's voice, so it was nice to hear his music not sung by him. I have to say that the songs, I liked the music, the singing and the harmonies were on spot. And the voices were very loud and clear. Mm-hmm. And the music was, I mean, I kind of liked the music. Couldn't quite figure out the purpose of the songs, but I liked the sound. I did like the sound.
So that kind of goes into the music to dialogue ratio. There was a good mix, but the mix didn't seem to go together. There was a story being told and there were songs being sung, but it was disjointed. So it's hard to even compare like the music to dialogue ratio because it just didn't make sense. But there was some singing, there was some dialogue throughout the entire show. Into execution, it's a tough one. Well, Mom looked at me and during intermission and was like, what do you think? And I said, I have no idea what's going on. So if there was a true story from the beginning to end, no clue what it was. Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you at all. So it was it just didn't make sense. The whole musical didn't seem like it actually had a point. It just seemed like they were having some people talk and they were gonna sing some Bob Dylan songs. And it's so funny, we listened to some Bob Dylan songs on the way home because I didn't know any. And there was one song that came on that I was like, this would have been a much better song to sing in this particular part of the show.
Right.
Than the song they decided to pick.
Yeah.
So I guess the execution wasn't great. It's probably pretty poor if I was actually really ready to go after the first half. Because I was like, I really don't think this could get any better. What was nice is we did get a little bit of a forewarning going into this musical. That's probably the only saving grace of this musical.
Was that we had low expectations.
And it met
and they
those
were met.
Expectations. Ratings-wise.
So for the look, we're going to give it a 3. For sound, we're going to give it a 4.
For music to dialogue ratio, we're going to give it a 2. And then for execution, if you couldn't tell, we're going to give it a 1. So our overall rating is a 2.5. Would we recommend it? I'll let you take a guess. The guess is no.
No, absolutely.
Definitely would not recommend it. Unless you are like a huge Bob Dylan fan, you might enjoy it just because of the songs. Mm-hmm. Well, on a disappointing note, thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time for our next musical, which is
Mrs. Doubtfire.
So we'll see you then. Bye.